Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Will Fowler, and I am the Associate State Director for Operations at the Idaho Small Business Development Center. This webinar is about e-commerce, finding ways to improve your revenue now. So if that's the webinar that you are intending to see, you are in the right place. We are really happy to be doing this in conjunction with Idaho Department of Commerce. We kind of teamed up and said, what do we need to do? And we came up with this training. We have some really great people that are going to be speaking to you today and sharing some information. To get the most out of this webinar, there's a couple things that you should know. In the bottom of your screen, you should see a Q&A button. If you have questions, and we want you to ask a lot of questions, open up the Q&A interface and type in your questions. You may be wondering why you're muted and cannot mute yourself, and that's just because we're in a webinar mode. And so if you have questions, please use the Q&A function, and we'll be reminding you throughout to ask lots of questions and put them in the Q&A. If you want to chat with other people that are attending, open up the chat box. There's also a chat button at the bottom of your screen, and you can see what people are saying to each other. Sometimes there's some really great information that's crowdsourced in the chat box. We'll also be chatting in key points. Margaret Bushy will be chatting in some key points that are being made and also encouraging people to use the Q&A function there as well. So that's the format. If I were you, I would have Q&A open, chat open, and be glued into what we're about to go through. And I'm really happy to introduce Kim Sherman-Labram. She's been a consultant with the SBDC for a long time, and she has a lot of experience helping clients with their websites and marketing and e-commerce. And she's got a great presentation that she's going to take us through. We're going to hear from some other people, and we have some businesses that have done some work on their own websites. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to Kim Sherman-Labram, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let her take it from here.
Good morning. Thank you, Will. I am going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started. So welcome. It's nice to see everyone sort of virtually, and I'm really excited to present this to you. Some of you might know, I saw a few of you logging in have experienced some of my consulting, so you are aware of my specialty and have some of this might be a little familiar to you because it's some familiar topics for me. And I'm really excited about this. I've been really busy talking to small businesses about e-commerce with COVID. And so I think that you're going to get a lot out of this. So first I want to mention a little bit about the SBDC and what we do for those of you who might not be aware. We exists to help entrepreneurs be more successful, and we do that through a core set of services. We do that with confidential, free, one-on-one consulting. We have training like what you're about to experience. In the olden days, we used to do it in person. Now we do it virtually. And we also have other resources around the state dependent on the office and where they're housed. So as you see, we have 6 locations in the state. We were founded in 1986, starting at Boise State University, and then expanded out to other colleges and universities throughout the state. So wherever you are, there is an SBDC someplace close and somebody to be able to help you, and that's what we're here for. Please don't hesitate. If you haven't availed yourself of our services, please do. That's why we're here. First question that we want to get to is, why do we want to sell online? Well, you know, it seems kind of obvious, I would think, but you know, in post-COVID, really in the middle of COVID, we don't have the freedom to shop like we used to, especially if you know, things continue like they are. Some of you may be aware Ada County is going back to stage 3, and we are coming back in because of the increase on COVID cases. So when we sell online, we're allowed to increase our reach. Obviously, if you just have a brick and mortar location, it's kind of dependent on the foot traffic, who you can get in the door and walk in. So your profits are a little limited by your walk-in traffic, whereas online, that's not necessarily the case. Potentially, we can have products go to market faster. in your online area, your costs can be lower depending, and you can collect data to better market to your target buyers. I think that is really important. Also, you can provide more information about your goods and services 24/7. So it is not all about the business hours that you're open. So right now, I want to turn it over and let Tammy Langston from In the Ditch Towing out of Mountain Home talk. She is somebody who has really pivoted what they do to change in the face of COVID and take advantage of this online world that we're living in. So I'm going to mute myself. Tammy?
Hi. I'm not sure if everybody can hear me. I hope so.
We can. You're good.
Okay, good. I'm going to go through a few screens that I did share with Kim, and she'll bring that up, and I'll kind of go over our company overview and some things we've done and learned. So if you would like to share those slides, that would be great to start with that.
Do you not see the screen? Do you not?
Oh, I do now. I apologize. I hit the wrong button, so I apologize.
No problem.
So In the Ditch Towing Products, we started in about 2006. Chuck Ciccarelli is our owner. He had a few businesses before that started in 1996, but for the manufacturing industry, we started in 2006. We built products for the towing industry. So all the tow trucks that you see out there with product on them, with toolboxes, dollies, side pullers, pretty much anything on a tow truck, we build it. So it's a great experience, and it's a great industry to be in, or it was a great industry to be in. It's slowing definitely now. If you'll tab the next little button there. So in 2016, we started Fish Fighter Products, which we now are in the fishing accessory industry, to where we have another product, another customer to sell to. So we weren't just stuck in one industry. We could span out and sell to different consumers. And then if you'll click on the next one. So in 2017, we started RBO, that is Razorback Off-Road. So that is in the UTV industry, and we now have, again, another consumer, another market to open up. So we had a whole nother industry to sell to, which is just a great experience with that as well. And then last but not least, that last little button there, we actually just started a new facility, just like not even a couple buildings down from us, where we have an 80,000 square foot building that we're actually putting up right now. It's being constructed. I get to look at it every day. It's a beautiful site. And I know a lot of people have asked us, boy, even with all this COVID, you guys are still pushing forward on the building. And one of the things just to put on that is we have a vision, we have a goal, and we are trying to stay as focused on our vision and goals that we can. And this new building is our future. So we're sticking with that. And if you'll hit the next slide. So, and then if you hit the first button there. So this is all about changes. I know all of us are going through a lot of changes, maybe not just with the product line, but it could be the industry. The people that you were selling to before might not be the same people you're selling to now. For us, for our company, prior to the COVID, we were like 80% of our market and 80% of our sales volume was coming from the towing industry itself. So all those toolboxes and, dollies and side pullers, those were our market. Like, we had no problem with making our sales goals because of that market. RBO, with it coming on, it really jumped up there with an 18%, and that's been holding strong for the last 2 years. And then fish fighter products, that's about 2% of our overall sales, and it's been pretty consistently growing, you know, a couple percent every year. And then now, all of a sudden, COVID hits, and we see drastic changes. If you'll cue that next part. So now, in our towing industry, we've seen a lot of our big companies that we work with that build tow trucks, they have shut down facilities. They've shut down their major facilities, which means people can't buy tow trucks. People can't buy, you know, from them to even sell to the towing industry. So it's been a drastic, it's cut to about 40%. But the really cool thing about all of this is we saw our other markets surge. We're seeing it every day. These numbers are actually for in the ditch towing accessories, where I have 40%. We've seen those numbers on a weekly basis dip to the 20% and kind of bounce back and forth. So it's an unsure market right now for the towing accessories, especially with the different facilities closing, and you feel a little helpless. Like you can't control your destiny when things are changing outside of your control. But one thing we do know is that we're seeing the surge in the other product lines. So with RBO and fish fighter products, seeing those increase, it gives us a little bit of hope that there is still something we can do. Our hands are not completely tied. We can change things up. One thing I don't have on here is when, I think it was like April, we actually started with the face shield, so the PPE stuff, right? Because we knew that was, everybody wanted it, they couldn't get it. And we were like, well, we have the facility to do this. Let's try this. Let's just try something. And we did. We sold about $7,000 in sales, which, you know, not big, but I could tell you, we put several people to work and were able to keep them at work because of just that little bit of money that came in. So I know it doesn't seem like much, but to us, it was great. And for the people that we were able to keep working, it was phenomenal, right? So it was pretty cool experience to jump into a new market. We did find that it was pretty saturated, and, you know, it wasn't something that we felt that we could really add to the market, since there was other companies that this is kind of what they do. So we thought we would just stop and let the pros continue doing the PPE. So we stopped making the face shields. We still have them, but we don't market them. We're not really doing anything with them, and we're not really getting sales on it anyway. So it's something we thought we'd try, but we opted out to not doing that anymore. If you'll cue the next slide. So leveraging resources. So one of the things, and again, I kind of talked through on some of these topics on the previous slides, we just had to make changes. We had a strong economy for the towing industry where that business was all business to business. We were not targeting end users at all. We dealt with big companies directly who, you know, were selling 750 trucks a month. So they were buying, we were dealing with dealerships, I guess would be the best way of putting that, dealers. And we realized that when COVID hit, if they stopped buying or if they stopped advertising, we just had no control. We could do nothing because we didn't sell direct, we didn't target direct consumers, we couldn't even sell direct to consumers for the towing industry because of our agreements with these dealers. So we felt helpless. So we were doing the business to consumer, very little. That wasn't, again, our strong point, right? That was just a little piece of our market. But with the COVID, we had to. We had no other choice. If we were going to succeed, if we were going to be here, if we were going to keep people working, we had to find a way. And so we started strongly focusing on how do we reach consumers. So with e-commerce, I don't know what to do. I'm not an e-commerce major or marketing major. My degree's in accounting, you know, I have a bachelor's in accounting. But one thing we learned through all this, if you could cue number 2 there, is I don't have to know what to do. It's having the right team working with you who have some skills in that area and aren't afraid to try. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think everybody's so afraid to fail that they don't even try. And I know for us, man, we try something, we try targeting a market where we think, boy, this will work, this will be the winning ticket, and it fails. And you know what? We go and we look and we see, hey, that didn't work. Maybe we should change from a bigger scope and target more into a more specific target, and let's try it again. So right now we're doing a lot of A and B marketing, where we'll run, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it, maybe some not, but when we run an ad, we're running A and B ads to where we'll target the same people with just a little of a different ad change, maybe different colors, maybe different headers, different catch line, and we're testing those out to see how that'll work. And if A works better than B, we decide, well, what worked better on A, and use that in the next one and change it up on the next A and B testing. So we're all about just trying. We are just trying every day, and having the right people. That's been something that Chuck has driven into us. And as a lead, now I drive it to the people I work with, is you have to have the right people on the team. I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just have to have smarter people around me in those areas of expertise. So we've been hiring, we've had our own marketing team, we have our own video people, and that was before the COVID. We kind of knew we wanted to control our own destiny, so we started down that road. But I'm telling you, even right now, we're hiring more people right now in the e-commerce. Matter of fact, we have our last interview with the gal this afternoon. And she actually works in Idaho Falls, and we're looking at moving her here because e-commerce, we feel with this COVID, why you have to sell online? Well, because right now you kind of have no other choice. And as she was mentioning, Kim was mentioning, you can get your products out to market faster, and your customers can buy anytime. If they want to sleep till noon and get up at 11 and buy, man, we're open. If they want to buy at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're open. So it's having enough people here within our company to be able to be open, have the product available for all of these consumers. If you'll cue that next one for the employees, or you already did, sorry. It's those flexible hours. I'll touch points on that. A lot of people within our facility right now are doing tasks and doing jobs that are outside of their normal description. I have our HR lady is helping with updating tracking information. We've changed our hours where we've asked our employees who normally worked Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, that was their schedule. And now we're saying, hey, on Mondays, we'd like to swap that for Saturdays. We believe we need to be open on Saturdays to take consumer calls. To be able to sell some of the products, we got to be available for them. And our employees are reacting to it very well. They understand that our goal is to keep them at work and keep the company going, not just through this, but for years to come. And they're really seeing that. The last thing is the community support. We didn't do this all on our own. And I think, there's not something that I can go, yep, it's all us, and we had no help, because that would be a lie. We have had a lot of help from the city. We've had grants. I know we're out in Mountain Home, Idaho, where, you know, it's pretty dead out where we are at. We had horrible internet, and to be in e-commerce or anything like that, you got to have fast internet. You got to be able to upload things fast. You got to be able to transfer data fast. So we reached out to our city here, and man, oh my gosh, they were phenomenal. They not only helped me get a $30,000 grant to bring fiber into Mountain Home, into our facility. They helped me with the paperwork. They helped me cross the T's, dot the I's. They turned in the paperwork for me. I mean, they were phenomenal. And that's not the only resource. I know the city of Mountain Home is not the only place that offers that. I know I see it in Boise. I know, and just looking at where Kim is at, you know, 6 locations, there's locations for everybody. But if you don't ask, it's not always going to just be presented. So we're always looking for help. We're always being in our community. We're offering support, but we're also asking for support. So if we run a function here, we're asking the community to come out and support us as well. There's new employee exemptions that a lot of people don't know of or even take advantage of. There's tax breaks for your personal property taxes that you can get. There is so many resources out there that I recommend, if you're a small business, you go to your local community, or even I think reach out to probably any one of the panelists here, and they can help you. And they do it for free. This is, lack of better words, it's their job, it's their passion, it's what they want to do. They want you to be successful. So go try. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys today.
Thank you, Tammy. That was really amazing. I think you bring up so many really fantastic points. And, you know, most of all, be flexible and ask for help, because we don't operate in a vacuum as a small business owner. So please don't try to do it all by yourself. Okay, I'm going to jump into my presentation and start talking about e-commerce. So how do we get on e-commerce? How do we sell online? There's many different ways. I've kind of broken them down into the bigger buckets. And the first one is what we call marketplace solutions. So your Etsy, your eBay, your Amazon, it is a pre-set-up solution where you go in, you list your products on their platform. They take care of some of the marketing for you. They take care of the payment options and the shipping and stuff. All of that stuff is pre-set up. It's great because it's really easy, but it can be expensive because they charge fees. There's also not a lot of customizable situations for that. So, but it is a great place to kind of dip your feet in if you've never sold online. And then we go into websites. And so website development is varied, and there's lots of different options. And so kind of the first and the easiest is what I call a proprietary content management system. So a content management system is anything that allows for you to put up a website and without having to do the code in the background, the HTML, and it allows you to say, I want to put a picture here, I want to put text here, a header there, that kind of stuff. So kind of the big dogs in proprietary CMS is Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. Depending on your needs, they all are roughly the same price. Some of them are a little more expansive on their apps and the things that they do. Most of them offer a free trial, so you can jump in and kind of look at them and decide what it is that you want and whether it meets your needs. Then we go to website development beyond something that's pre-set up for you with templated. And usually what you see is a WordPress or custom HTML coding. WordPress is really great. It is very customizable. It is based on an open source software model. So there are people out there that are building things and plugins and widgets to put into WordPress. And one of those widgets is WooCommerce. And that is how you would do your e-commerce on a WordPress site. Then, of course, if you really need something that does not fit any of these models, then there's the find yourself somebody who can code in HTML and do a website for you with that. So, okay. I'm going to continue on, and I will stop in just a couple minutes and look at questions and see if anybody has any questions. So what's the purpose of having a website? In my world, I think that you, as a business, there's only two reasons to have a website. It's either sales, straight across, commerce. You know, you pay your money to me, I give my service or my good to you. That's sales. Or it's lead generation, okay, which is going to ultimately lead to a sale, but it is give me your email, download my ebook, let's meet for coffee, let's start the conversation, or bring you into the store and start to shopping. If your website is not doing one of these two things, it is failing as a business website. So, okay, that's all I need to say about that. All right. Things that you have to have on your website. Call to action, CTA. I hope you've all heard of this. A call to action on each and every page of your website. If people come to your website and they don't know what to do, they're going to bounce. They're going to go someplace else and they're going to get their needs satisfied somewhere else. You may have heard me say this, some of you, everybody on the internet is lazy and they have ADD. Okay, and if you make them work, they will not. So they're going to back out, they're going to run away, and they're going to go look at somebody else who made it easy for them. So a CTA makes it really easy. They go to your website and they say, oh, order now, learn more, shop, explore our menu, start your adventure, whatever your CTA is. Give me your email, download this. It doesn't matter what the CTA is, but it matters that we need to tell them what to do. If you have to make them search, they will not do it. Okay, having your contact information up in the upper right hand corner. This is another situation where we don't want to make them work. If you have put all your contact information down on the bottom, or you've buried it on a contact page where they have to click to get to, you're making them work. People don't work on the internet. If it's in the upper right hand corner, it's easy for them to contact you, and you don't have to have email and phone number, whatever you want to do to have them get hold of you in the easiest way possible. I also recommend that you put your social media up there as well, because most people that go and look at your website probably want to kind of check out what you're doing on social media, get an idea of what it is that your brand is. Okay. All right. So customizing the menus on your website. So I go to websites all the time, and sometimes there'll be 10 options in this navigation bar, and it's overwhelming. And if you overwhelm your customer, they don't know what to do. They're going to back out. They're going to go find someplace else that makes it easy for them. So I recommend 3, 5, or 7 navigation options. People respond to odd numbers in design. It's just a thing that we do. 5 is my favorite. I've made this special one that's home, and then book now. By the way, this spot right here, the upper right hand side of your website, is the money spot. It is the place where our eyes automatically go. Amazon and other shopping websites have trained us to look for the shop now, the shopping cart up in the upper right hand corner. They've proven that our eyes move through a website in a Z pattern, starting in the upper left, going to the upper right, and then going diagonally back down and across. So what is going to stop them? Well, whatever the most important call to action is in that upper right hand corner. Okay, so I'm going to look at questions real quick, I think. Somebody asked, how do I recommend using LinkedIn? So LinkedIn is great if you're going to try to get stuff for business to business. It is a wonderful place to develop relationships and work on if your business has B2B. It's less successful for B2C, business to customer. So, okay. All right, next, content, photos. In this day and age of Instagram, photos are very important. Humans respond to visual stimulus. We don't like to read. Going back to our lazy and our ADD, we don't like to read. So we respond to photos. And because of Instagram, we have to have almost professional level photos. Humans in your photos are usually better because we respond to humans. We also respond to those humans that are looking straight at us with eye contact. So that's why I've chosen the photo that's in the background of this particular image. But the other thing is you can use stock photos, but I really would recommend, if you can, using your customers and your clients, because that's more authentic. On the internet, you have a very, very short time to be able to garner trust, build trust in these people. And one of the things is what you're putting out there on your website. If you're putting a lot of stock photography out there that people can recognize as stock photography, it's not as trustworthy as photos of people in action that are your actual customers or your employees. So if you have that option, please do. We will send this presentation to you later, so don't worry about having to like furiously write notes. I should have said this earlier. But here's some options on places you can get stock photography if you just can't get pictures of what you do. Canva, public domain pictures, the New York Public Library, Pexels, and Pixabay are free. You can also buy stock photography, Shutterstock, Dreamtime, Getty's Images, all of those. So. Excellent. This is just a thing for your search engine optimization, SEO. How you get found on the internet is making sure that your name, address, and phone number, the NAP, is consistent across the internet. So what you really want to do is just kind of really quickly do a Google search once every quarter and just check and make sure. Google actually goes through and compares things like if you're on Main Street and you spell it ST or you spell it out, if they find that inconsistency, it can potentially knock you down in the rankings. So you want to make sure that it is consistent as possible everywhere that's listed. Okay. So big thing, how do we get traffic to our website? Well, there's many ways to do that. You know, one of the best ways to do that is social media right at the moment, because everybody, well, not everybody, but a good chunk of people are home, they're on the internet, they're shopping, and so paying attention to your social channels is a good way to drive people to your website so that you can get them to engage with that call to action and get them to purchase from you. So making sure that your SEO, your search engine optimization, that you're being found for the keywords and the key phrases that you need to be found on is on point, is working really well for you. Your printed materials, a good business card, flyers, brochures, signage. If you have a brick and mortar location and you don't have signage, if you're a mobile whatever and you're not putting signs on your vehicle, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to be able to drive traffic to your website. There's also things like blogs. If you were write a blog or do guest blogging for people, email marketing is still really, really effective. It is not as great for new clients, but it's really effective for retaining and maintaining relationships and bringing old clients that have kind of what I call zombie clients, pardon me, bringing them back to life. So also online directories. If you are a member of a Chamber of Commerce, and they have an online directory, make sure that you are listed in it as many times as you can. Google actually gives high authority to chambers and other online directories like those. So please take advantage of that. Look at your other online directories that are legitimate. Also, and then don't leave out advertising. Take advantage of all your freebies as much as you can, but by all means, do not say, well, I'm not going to advertise. Okay. So I'm going to jump into search engine optimization. What is it? How do I get it? Well, it is an incredibly complicated and weird world, and there's a lot that goes into it. And I'm not going to tell you that I know everything. Nobody knows everything. Google, and I generally talk about Google because they're the big dog. They have about 96% of the search traffic on the internet right at the moment. So they set the standards and everybody else follows them. If something happens with Google tomorrow and Bing becomes the big dog, then we'll pay attention to what Bing is doing. But for the time being, Google is setting the standards. Pardon me. So excited about search engine optimization. So anyhow, 200 data points is about what is on the algorithm, is what they use in the algorithm. Do I know all of them? Absolutely not. The only people that know all of them are the two head guys at Google, and they keep it very, very, very secret, right? I know, and marketers in general probably know between 10 and 15 that have been confirmed that Google will release and say, we rank you on these things. And so what are they? Well, there's a wide variety of them, and it's a much deeper topic than what we have time to get into. But what you want to remember is it's all based on content on your website primarily. And Google's mission is to be the oracle. They want to be the answer. When somebody goes to them and asks a question, they want to come back with the best possible answer. And so that is their mission. So if you are crafting your content on your website to be able to be the answer that your target customers are asking, then you're going to be returned in the search results and you're going to be high up in those search results. So it's not about necessarily how much you have, but it can be. It really depends. So you need to think about how your searchers are trying to find you. What are they looking for? What kinds of questions and what kinds of problems are they trying to solve that you can help them with? And so, you know, some of the things that you can think about with your customers is, you know, if they are looking for you, do they know your business name? Did they just put your business name in? Do they know the location where you're at? Do they know something unique about your business, your value proposition? Or did they just search on whatever it is that you do? Okay, excellent. Okay, speaking of keywords and key phrases. So keywords are started in back in the day with the internet. We used to have people who did web development, and they would put a little thing in the background that said, this website is about these things. And that didn't work out quite so well. People took advantage of that. And so Google kind of changed the game and said, okay, we're not going to trust you to tell us what your website's about. We're going to look at your content on your website, and we will judge what your website is about. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you need to know what the keywords and the key phrases, and phrases can be up to about 7 words, that people will be using to look for your particular product. So in an example here, we have like Dasha's Dance. It could be a dance studio, ballet, after school tap dancing. This one in particular, it would probably be dancing in your local city, because if I look up Dasha's Dance Studio and she happens to be in Idaho Falls, it doesn't do me a lot of good in Boise, probably. Although now on the internet with COVID, maybe it does. So, but do be aware that localizing your search with your keywords and your key phrases is important. With Fuzzy Boyd's Beards, he is selling online, so it's not about local, but it's about the things that people are looking for: facial hair care, beard oil, beard care, those kinds of things. Easy links. So I mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, but also we have these easy free links that you can go for. We have Google My Business, which is that Google, our business listing that Google gives to every small business owner. Bing also has a similar product that you can sign up for. They're both free. They're both very effective. Using the Google My Business, I can tell you, if you use it right, it will help your search engine results and will help you be found better. And if you're curious about how that works, I can tell you sometime either in the next session or in a one-on-one. You can also talk or do TripAdvisor if you're, some place where somebody might want to come. Yelp can be useful depending on what your market is. I would pay attention to what kinds of businesses are being listed in your community on Yelp right at the moment. Yellow Pages and Dex knows as well. Then we've also got industry specific sites, like if you're a restaurant, OpenTable, DoorDash, Grubhub, those kinds of things, right? If you're a real estate person, there's realtor.com, Zillow, Trulia, those types of industry specific. Claim them, but be careful. Sometimes if you go into them, it's not always apparent that they're going to sell you something. So make sure that it is truly, truly free. I checked all of these before I put them in this presentation to make sure that they were, or at least they have a level of free, so that it's trustworthy. But if you find other ones, make sure that you check and make sure it's free. Okay. Your website has to be mobile friendly, meaning that it is a typical desktop website that displays and is usable on a mobile device, meaning that I don't have to kind of pinch and enlarge pictures or text to read it, right? But there's also mobile optimized, and mobile optimized websites are specifically designed for mobile devices, okay? And then we also have responsive websites, which means they have even more coding because they sense what kind of device you're looking at and automatically rearrange the content of your site to match that. So it's a little more it's a deeper, more coding. There's actually a mobile friendly, Google gives us a test to see how mobile friendly your website is. And I believe it's on the slide. Oh, I thought it was. I will include it in the follow-up so that you will have that, so you can test whether or not your website is mobile friendly. Okay. Another thing that's really important is page speeds. And there is the link to that right there. We want to make sure that your page loads. I don't know about you, but if a page takes more than about 3 or 4 seconds to load, I'm out. I gotta go. I got things to do. I got cat videos to watch or something. I don't know, but I don't have time to wait for stuff to load. So make sure that your page is loading fast. Okay. Update your content consistently. Okay, what is Google's rule? Well, Google would love for you to update your content once a week. I think that is ludicrous. I don't think there's any small business owner that is running their business that does, if they don't have somebody on staff that's dedicated to websites and that kind of stuff, that has time to do a weekly update. However, I think that it is reasonable that you could do a monthly update, and you can do that in a variety of ways. You could do a blog, you could upload new photos, you could have a monthly special. There's lots of ways to skin this particular cat and keep your website relevant, because that is a ranking factor on your SEO, is how recently it has been updated. Okay. Getting into some more Google stuff, but Google gives us a lot of free tools. And I will say Google gives us free tools because they get a lot of stuff out of it. Why? Because it gives them the power to be the oracle. The more data that they collect, the more relevant their search results are going to be. So they give us tools to help us refine our content. So Google Analytics is a little piece of code that you can paste in the back of most websites. Sometimes those proprietary content management systems have their own analytics tools, and they will use those instead of Google Analytics, but it's really user-oriented. It will tell you about the search traffic and how they found you, what your bounce rate is, like how fast somebody is, how much time somebody is spending on your website, what pages are clicked, and how the links are being followed, and also your visitor demographics, which is very important. You know, Tammy was talking about A/B testing. Well, this is can be part of A/B testing, is finding out who our visitors are and really marketing to them and being specific. Search Console is more search engine focused. It's more used to be called web tools, and it really talks about how you're interacting with the search engine. It allows you to submit what's called a sitemap to help your website be found on the search and get updated as soon as possible so that your new content populates the search as fast as possible. It also gives you some information about search traffic as well. So We're almost done. So 2 resources that I want to introduce to you. Our Southeast Idaho SBDC is offering no-cost design resources to our clients. What does that mean for you? Well, we have Presley Brown and Zach Spain, who are working with our Southeast Idaho office to provide services to our clients. Presley does graphic design, logo design, and brand development, and Zach does website development. So if you're in need of those services, you can contact Ann Swanson out of our Pocatello office, and her information right there, and she will walk you through the process. And so, all right, our next steps. Meet with your local SBDC. Yes, absolutely. We're free. And if you don't meet with us, then I just have to spend all my time reading about things about SEO. And I would much rather be spending time with clients. So please fill up our calendars, come see us, and make sure that we are helping you be more successful with your small business. And that is my presentation. So we have about 14 minutes left for question and answer.
Great, thanks, Kim. So we've got just 2 questions in here. I just wanted, this is Will Fowler. I just want to encourage you to ask questions. So if you have questions about anything e-commerce, anything that Kim covered or didn't cover, we have some great people here that can answer those questions. So the first one, Kim, is are keywords something that should stay the same throughout all posts? In other words, should I use a set number of keywords throughout the website?
No. You should have a core set of keywords, most likely, for your stuff, but it's going to change depending on the content on that page. So your home page, for instance, is kind of an overview of what you do and everything. So it's going to cover everything that you do. But if you go to your, like, a product page, your keyword is going to change. So I'm going to talk about Tammy's business a little bit, since she was kind enough to show. So her keywords on the part of her website that is the fishing is going to be far different than the keywords that are in the towing products. So they do change depending on the content of the page.
Are there a set number? Like, are there too many words? Are there too few words? If you were looking for keywords, so the next question here is, how many keywords should I focus on?
I recommend that you start with between 5 and 10. That usually is a pretty good amount. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing that says there's too many. But do remember that you can't be everything to everybody. And so if you've got 50 keywords that you're using, we probably need to cull that down a little bit, because I just don't think that you can, be able to service that many keywords.
And then, so there's keywords, there's hashtags, there's tagging pictures and photos. Like, there's so many. How do people go out and find what keywords actually are? And know that they are using the right kinds of words, and where do they put them?
Okay, well, so I'm going to go back to Google Tools again, but there's other keyword finders that are out there. Just be careful if you do a search for a keyword finder. Some of them are, hey, we lure you in and then we're going to charge you. So I'm all about free. I want to use the free stuff as much as possible, which is why I tend to pivot to Google more frequently. Google has a keyword search tool that's part of its AdWords. And you can go in, and even though it looks like you are setting up a campaign to pay for advertising, what you're actually doing is yes, you are, but you don't have to complete it. You can do the research and find the keywords that you want to start using, and not actually go through with the campaign and pay for the advertising. So avail yourself of that, absolutely. And then I want to talk real quick, if we have time, what is the difference between keywords and hashtags and meta tags and all of these other crazy things? And there's a lot. If you're overwhelmed, you're in good company, because I spend my days all the time, and sometimes I have to go back and go, Okay, what's the difference between a meta tag and yeah, okay. So keywords and key phrases are really, really for search engine optimization, for being found on the search engines. So hashtags are an organizational system that exists within social media platforms, primarily Instagram and Twitter, although Facebook is starting to use it a little bit. And I have seen it a tiny bit on LinkedIn as well. You know, back in the day, we used to alphabetize our data, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Well, we are generating, I don't know, what, a terabyte of information a day. There's no way that the 26 letters of our alphabet can hold what we need. If you put in A in the search engine, it comes back with way too many results. So hashtags help us. And I will say I said search engine, but hashtags don't really work on search engines like Google. They're really platform specific like Twitter or Instagram. So they are usually words or phrases that are attached to certain content that make it easier to find. Meta is the descriptor that is in your website. It can refer to the meta information about a web page. So when you do a search, you will come up with the name of a website and then usually like a 2-word description. That's usually called a meta description. And if you don't do that yourself, if you don't write that yourself in the specific places that it calls for it, then Google just takes the first 2 lines of text off of that page and makes that your meta description. So that, and you can also do that with your pictures as well. So it's just there's lots of ways to get information out there and start to show up in the search engines.
Great. So here's a question that didn't make it into the Q&A, but we found it in the chat. And that is, it's from a small business owner or micro business, not even big enough to be called a small business. They have hired people on Fiverr to help with website issues, but not sure what to look for in finding affordable help. So I know that we have Zach on this panel as well. Just throwing it out to you two, how does a small business or a micro business who has limited resources and like no time go about finding the right kind of help with building SEO, building website and e-commerce? Where do they start? What do they look for?
Zach, do you want to start or do you want me to talk?
I can take this one.
All right.
So finding affordable help, really, I think your first step is just to, do a Google search. Try to find people in your local community that can help you read reviews, stuff like that to help you get you in the right direction. If you can, the most affordable thing to do is to try to tackle it yourself. But I know that people are busy, so yeah, I would just start with the Google search. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's where I would start.
Google search. Also, recommendations are always great. We and the Boise office have a list of people that we've either worked with or our clients have worked with, and so we send those out as recommendations, not just in website and social media, online management, but like all aspects of a small business management. So accounting and bookkeeping and lawyers and all of those things. So the other thing is, look at their portfolio, and if they list their other clients, contact their other clients and see how happy they are with the service that they've got. It's very important that they are delivering something that meets your expectations, and also that they are responsive. So
another thing that just got chatted in here from Jenny Hemley at Idaho Department of Commerce is ask Idaho Department of Commerce as well. They're very well connected. They're another statewide organization that's out there in contact with lots and lots of companies. So that's a good resource to tap into to try to find somebody. However, the second part of this question is really like, what do you look for? Like what should you know? Like what questions should you ask when you are trying to find somebody to work for you? There's so many stories about small businesses finding a web developer of some sort that didn't do a very good job for them, then it creates an unusable site. So how do they ask the right questions to make sure that they're finding the right people?
So I ask what kind of experience they have with businesses And again, that portfolio is so important to go see what they're doing. But making sure that they're not, just some guy who said, I have a computer and I can make websites. That doesn't necessarily mean that you make a good website for a business. So making sure that they have the background. When they sit down and talk to you, if they start asking you questions like, what are the goals for your website? What do you want to do? That's a really good indicator that they have some experience dealing with small businesses and knowing what their needs are. So that's the first thing right there. If they're like, well, what color do you like? And I'll just make a website based around the color, then I would be worried that they might not have the experience with the business. So first and foremost is making sure that they are aware of what your goals are and they're listening.
A lot of developers have specialties: HTML, PHP, Ruby on Rails. There's so many different buzzwords for computer or software and website development that we don't know what they mean. Are there a couple that we should keep an eye out for when we're talking to potential web developers?
Wow, that's such a loaded question, because it depends. If you, I guess, if you're looking for somebody who has experience in Shopify, I need a Shopify expert. Then you don't need necessarily somebody who knows PHP or HTML. They really they're focused on that. Or we want somebody who is a WordPress house, something like that. So if you're looking for a particular website management system, then look for that particular specialty. If you're looking for somebody who has just general, you want them to build a mobile app for you, or, and I will also look, just because they have graphic design experience doesn't mean they're a web developer or a marketer, and vice versa. Just because they make websites doesn't mean they know anything about graphic design. Sometimes they do. The skill set tends to overlap, but it doesn't always. So just check and see what they offer. And like I said, do your due diligence. Research them a lot, not just their website, because as I said, the website is the place where you put your best face forward. So of course they're going to put all the best things on their website, but go and put in the name of their business and reviews, and get an idea of what kind of reviews are out there, negative and positive. And if you can, go talk to some of their previous clients and see how happy they are. Those are making sure that you do this, interview them. And then the other thing, once you hire them, is set specific goals. This is the thing, is so many people just let their people go because they don't understand it. And then they're like, oh, I paid them $3,000 a month and I didn't get anything out of it. And I'm like, well, did you follow up? Did you have them do reporting? Did you do any of this? And they're like, oh no, Okay, we have to have accountability. I liken this to, if you have somebody who's doing the books for you, you just don't hand them the checkbook and then let them go and never check to make sure that your bank balance is right. So you wouldn't do the same thing with your digital online assets.
Great. So maybe just time for one last question, which is a great one for you and Zach, which is, what about conversion optimization techniques for e-commerce? How do you optimize converting hits to clicks, to putting things in a cart, to making sure, to getting that revenue coming in? What are some things that folks can think about?
Zach, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so this is where Google Analytics would come in, which is a free service from Google, where you can see what the users are doing, where they're going. You can look at bounce rates, how long they're on a particular page, just a ton of data there available. And so you can kind of see where you need to make adjustments. So like if your site is loading too slowly, you're going to have a higher bounce rate because people are giving up on it. So maybe, then you need to speed up your website. So yeah, that's where I would start, is Google Analytics. So.
Also, that call to action. I can tell you, I have a client who did not have a call to action on his website, and he makes really high-end specialty jewelry, and he put a call to action on his pages, and within 6 weeks had $10,000 worth of business turned around. So that works. You have to tell people what it is that you want them to do. Don't be subtle. The internet is not about subtle.
Great. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Zach. Really, really great information. There's one question up here, which is, it's a perfect segue because we're about to wrap up here. We have a poll that's going. So if you have 30 seconds to answer 3 questions, that would be really helpful to us. But the question is, when will the second part to this e-commerce series be offered? So if for those of you who signed up, in the description of this course, we said this is part 1. So this is like e-commerce 101, and we're developing e-commerce 201. The date for that has not been set, but it will be in the near future, in the next month or 2. We'll make sure that that gets posted, and we contact everybody in our database, let them know when that is. But that will be a little bit deeper dive into some of the questions that were answered. It'll be a little bit more technical, but if you're a business that's attending this and you are serious about getting this information incorporated into your business, that webinar will be really helpful, because we'll get a little bit more down into the details on how to do this stuff and get it up and running. So thank you, Kim. Thank you, Zach. And thanks to all of you who are listening and taking the time to work on your business and find ways to stay alive and even expand, as we saw with Tammy. Thank you, Tammy, for taking the time to share your story with everyone. And so I just want to say, you'll get a follow-up email from us. If there's something that just a quick question that you didn't quite get answered, then let us know. Just respond to the email and we'll make sure that that question gets answered. If there's a project that you want to work on that you need help with or advice on, then you can make an appointment, a one-on-one professional, confidential, no cost consulting appointment with our consultants that are located around the state. So wherever you are, there is someone who's reasonably close to you, and everything is virtual these days anyway. So we can meet with you wherever you are, at least via video conference. So I would recommend doing that if you have something that's a little bit more in depth. So thank you everyone again for attending, and we'll be reaching out to everyone with the next e-commerce series. Hang in there, and we'll all be buying things from each other's websites very, very soon. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.